Why did that teacher get fired from your school? One of my high school teachers was caught on to catch a predator. I bet it was Walter Babst, the high school teacher from Riverside, California. Bingo. You guessed it. I haven't watched the video in years. This one is actually sort of rather sad. Had an amazing, but eccentric, math teacher who was incredibly involved with helping students. He made sure to always cover his bases, so there was nothing really creepy about him. The year I left high school was a senior at this time, went on to finish my GED, he was fired. Shortly after, news an article that he had killed himself with a self-inflicted gunshot. What had happened during this period of time was a student had come forward to the administration and accused him of sexual misconduct, both of them being males, and unfortunately there was no real way to prove a negative for the missing time outside of school hours, so they promptly let him go. Being a gay, black, teacher in South Texas. Rough. He wrote a letter basically denying all of the accusations, but had come to the grim realization that at his age, his career was effectively over, so he shot himself in the head. Later, the student who made the accusations came forward and said he had fabricated the entire event because he was failing his grades and angry. The whole event was quietly swept under the rug. R.I.P. Mr. Ethan. You were a good person who was cut down by others' selfishness. Holy shit, that's depressing. I feel terrible for Mr. Ethan. That's honestly one of my worst fears. The principal of my elementary school got fired the first year he was hired. Or took leave before he was arrested. I'm not actually sure which came first. So a couple kids in my 4th grade class thought they'd prank the science teacher by pouring iodine and bleach into his coffee when he wasn't looking. The teacher tasted it as soon as the drink hit his tongue and immediately spit it out. He grilled the class and the kids admitted to it and got sent to the principal's office. The principal found out which of them physically poured the chemicals into the coffee, then took him into the bathroom to discipline him, hit him. Apparently he grabbed the bottom of his jaw while screaming in his face. You could hear him echoing through the hallway. Then he squeezed hard enough that the boy started crying. So he slapped him across the face and told him to stop crying. The kid's dad was a lawyer BTW. Suddenly cops were in the building and our new principal was out the door. Edit, along with the kids who poisoned the coffee. I mean, yes, they were kids. But you literally could have just killed that guy if he had just gulped it. Fuckers. Some kids at my high school put Drano in the chemistry teacher's water bottle and she, unfortunately, did gulp it and had to have reconstructive surgery to repair the damage to her esophagus/digestive tract. Fuckers indeed. He pushed some dumbass kid who hit him against a wall. So he defended himself? Or? Yeah, he was. She had fallen off the wagon and was drinking a lot to the point where it was affecting her memory. We kept doing the same lecture on density in 6th grade science for a month, until one of my classmates decided to ask another teacher about it. From there she went to rehab. Your knowledge on density must be phenomenal. Do not fear the man who has learned 1,000 concepts once, but the man who has learned one concept 1,000 times. Sending nudes to a student. What the fuck? She wasn't young either. My AP Chem teacher had an affair with the principal. Principal got fired too. I felt bad for her. They didn't do anything on school property, and it didn't impact her performance in the classroom. Also, the school wasn't able to find a qualified teacher to replace her halfway through the year. So we were all fucked come test time at the end of the year. Not one of us passed that AP test. That's messed up. There are very few teachers in a given school that are capable of teaching AP, especially without training. Not to mention that it was a rural area where there wasn't a surplus of teachers period, much less ones prepared for higher level courses. I don't blame the district for not being able to find an adequate replacement, but I do blame them for firing her in the first place. Explained elasticity by pulling the bra strap of a girl. Another one for having relationship with a girl from 8th grade 14-yo. Hey Susie, come here so I can explain the female reproduction to the class. Sir, but you haven't explained the male one yet. One was such an unlikable teacher they were asked to retire. One was watching porn in class. One sent someone else's dick pics to a student's mom. One robbed a bank. What subject was Mr. Bank Robber? That's Mrs. Bank Robber to you English. My sociology teacher in high school was fired for throwing a chalkboard eraser at a sleeping student's head. He was a great teacher, and always did this in good humor. Obviously not a great idea in retrospect, but we all knew that we could get away with sleeping in his class if we didn't mind getting an eraser upside the head if he noticed. I heard he was fired a few years after I graduated high school, and that kinda bummed me out. Probably deserving of a reprimand of some sort, but not getting fired. It's not like he was a sex offender or guitar player. You just stuck the landing with your last sentence lol. The next comment is literally a guy being fired for playing guitar. I assume this is what the joke is from, and it's perfect how well they lined up. Students laughed she ate toothpaste. Turns out she was an alcoholic trying to cover her breath. 9 out of 10 alcoholics recommend Crest Carrot TM. The 10th one passed out and couldn't recommend it. I heard a rumor that my favorite teacher from 9th grade got fired when I was in 10th grade because he left his class unattended. Honestly, amid all the pedophilia and rampant alcoholism, I like the anticlimax of this one. Hell, if my school was held to the same standards, we'd have no teachers left. Female PE teacher, she got caught sniffing a girl's underwear while she was showering. Imagine getting out of the shower and seeing your teacher with her nose in your fucking underwear, vomiting face. WTF is wrong with people? Wait, when did they add an emoji of someone giving Hulk some head? He straight up didn't show up to work one Monday, didn't call in to arrange a sub or anything. He ghosted the school for a whole week and then tried to come in the following Monday like nothing happened. We also had a 5th grade teacher overdose on meth, but I honestly don't know if she got fired or resigned. It didn't happen at school. My math teacher was a volunteer first responder. In NY, she left school to help out during 9/11 and was fired for not showing back up for 2 weeks. Fucking hell. The students and parents fought for her, but I think she decided not to come back because of the outright fucked upness. Our new band teacher was a young guy, fresh out of college. His first year teaching, and he embezzled about $1,000 from the band's funds. He got arrested and his possible future career ruined for $1,000. The art teacher at my middle school was known to be very suspicious. I've heard that he would take pictures of girls and touch girls. And adding to the fact that he called 2 girls lesbians in front of the whole class. It was just very weird. All these rumors, and he got fired eventually. I can't imagine how his wife must have felt when she asked why he got fired. Dating a 16-year-old female student. He was also a PE teacher. Edit, I should clarify that he did do jail time and is on the sex offenders register. It's always the PE teachers. It was the tech teachers for us. Arrested by the FBI for credit card fraud. It was a few months after the arrest when the reason why he disappeared came out in the open. I still think about this all the time. The assistant principal that kicked me out school for smoking weed, got arrested for picking up a prostitute, then fired. Pot will ruin your life, huh? He was playing his guitar for students at my elementary school. He had been warned before, but the kids enjoyed it, so he continued to play it for them anyways. One day, the assistant principal was lurking in the hallway and wandered to his classroom. She saw him playing his guitar and fired him on the spot. A whole lot of students were crying that day because he was an amazing guy. Edit, more information. This took place in a small, rural town in Georgia back in the early 2000s. He wasn't the music teacher, he just used to bring his guitar and play songs randomly on some days, and the kids enjoyed it. He'd been warned multiple times by his higher-ups. Why? IDK. He was a great teacher. He thought that before the break, he could play something for us one last time during the last week of school. It just happened to be the worst possible timing, while the assistant principal was walking through the halls. He didn't come back to teach at our school when classes started again. If I recall, He got a job teaching at a different school. I don't see anything wrong with a little bit of music. Enjoyment in learning isn't allowed apparently. My high school of less than 500 students lost 5 teachers last year because they all had a relationship with the same 15 years/oh girl. Skeptical. Is this real? Sadly. The story is that this girl started flirting with all her male teachers to get attention and good grades, and they all flirted back and sent her nudes and stuff. Then at the end of the year, when she realized how fucked up it was, she exposed them to the whole school. Had a history teacher get fired for going off syllabus and spending time on the pre-Judaic flood stories. One of maybe 2 reasons I'm obsessed with Mesopotamian/Anatolian/Egyptian history now. At first I thought you meant he was teaching the Great Flood, Noah, as history. But do you mean he or she taught about how there were similar flood stories told prior to the Judeo-Christian one? Greater than but do you mean he or she taught about how there were similar flood stories told prior to the Judeo-Christian one? This. Atrahasis and all. The progression of flood stories. Edit, historical progression obviously. He wasn't trying to start a cult. One was fired for beating his wife and kids. Frown. Another one, assistant principal, was fired for sex with a student on campus in her office. Another, the principal, resigned because he knew about that and let it happen. Why did the principal let it happen? Was he watching or something? He had already called next, geeky AV teacher that everyone loved. Knew he was a geek and owned it. Caught in a predator sting trying to solicit underage girls. The kicker was a spring school levy was coming up. Local police conspired with the school district to hide the charges for 3 weeks until the levy was passed. Someone substituted his class for 3 weeks. Yay, everyone was both devastated and pissed. The district ended the school year early. Does levy have a meaning besides drafting your serfs into a standing army? Yay, it means to impose a tax or fine. In this instance it would be a new tax proposal was coming up that would benefit the school. Dating a 16-year-old student. He was the band teacher. He also had a wife and kid. He went to jail and is now a registered sex offender. Musical notes. The state of Florida has asked us to, musical notes. One of the elementary school teachers at the district I went to got arrested for making his class worship him like he was a cult leader. He was totally bonkers. What the fuck? I don't know whether to laugh or be shocked. This is the weirdest one yet. Yeah, we all knew he was really odd, but I never expected him to start making the class call him master and making them say that he was a higher power. He got arrested driving through Nevada over the summer with 20 pounds of weed in his car that he'd bought in California. He had no intention on telling the district, and we only found out because a news reporter from the town he was arrested in contacted our superintendent for a quote on the matter. He was let go immediately. She was always drunk, and drinking during class. She would leave us to cry in the bathroom. Wow, that's sad. They pretty much invented my high school French class grades to cover her drinking. Then I transferred schools and they were surprised at how little French I knew. I had such good grades. 2 teachers, they got caught fucking in a classroom. My 5th grade teacher got caught fucking the IT dude in her classroom while we were out for recess. Neither got fired but were transferred to other schools. Now I'm really starting to wonder if any of my other teachers were fucking each other and nobody ever found out.